Good evening. Welcome to our Kindergarten Parent Information Night, Getting Ready for Kindergarten. We are so excited to be welcoming you and your children to our Sayreville Public Schools. So this evening, we have some special people here, we will all give you some information about our kindergarten program and also some information about things you can do to prepare your children for this exciting new chapter in their lives. Okay, first of all, I am Marilyn Shediak, the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. We have Mr. Bob Preston, who is the principal of Arleth School, Mr. Scott Nuremberger, the principal of Eisenhower School. We have Mrs. Amy Stuber, the principal of Truman Elementary School, and Mr. Timothy Byrne, principal of Wilson School. We also have with us Mrs. April Magistro, who is our supervisor of elementary education. So everyone here tonight will tell you about certain aspects of kindergarten, the curriculum, and the things you can do to help prepare your child for this exciting new step in their educational career. So kindergarten, it's not what it used to be. It's very different than when you went to kindergarten. It may be different than when your older children went to kindergarten, if you do have older children. We have a wonderful curriculum. Your children will be learning reading, writing, math, social studies, science, social skills, and we are so excited to be able to offer this to your children. This is where their journey begins. They will be with us for the next 13 years, we hope, when they graduate in the class of 2033. Okay. So in our kindergarten program, as we do in all of our K through 12 grade level, we use the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. Now, these student learning standards are unique to New Jersey. They are challenging, but we do infuse some fun into our kindergarten curriculum. Your child will have specials. They will be going to the Library Media Center. They will have physical education. They will have art. They will have music. Okay. In our, probably now about 4 or 5 years ago, we started what we called standard-based grading in our kindergarten through 5th grade classes. Standards-based grading replaces the traditional A, B, C, D, or numerical grades with descriptors such as needs support, approaching standards, meets standards, and exceeding standards. If you would like information about this, our standard-based grading, if you go onto our website, there is a whole section that has the rubrics and the expectations for what we hope your child will be learning during their school years, and especially kindergarten. We do something which is a little bit unique here in Sayreville. We practice what we call looping. Now, looping is where the children go, they move with their teacher to 1st grade. So the students and the teacher all loop from kindergarten to 1st grade. So in most cases, your child will have the same teacher in 1st grade that they will have for kindergarten. And we do this for a variety of reasons. First of all, we do it because the teachers are able to work with your children. They're very familiar with your children, and they know your child's learning style, strengths, and weaknesses. And we feel that kindergarten and 1st grade are such important years for your child that the children will be very well supported by having the same teacher. And honestly, we choose some of our very best teachers to teach kindergarten and 1st grade. So we're very excited. It's been a very successful practice here in Sayreville, and your child will have almost certainly the same teacher for kindergarten and 1st grade. Next, I'm going to introduce Mrs. Magistro, who will talk about getting ready for kindergarten, language arts, and math.
Hello, my name is April Magistro, and I'm the elementary supervisor. I would like to start off by sharing some information about language arts. In kindergarten, your child will learn so many exciting new things. At the beginning of the year, your child will be introduced to the alphabet. Sight words will be introduced each week. Please practice these new sight words and older words that you learn with your child nightly. As the year progresses, your child's teacher will begin guided reading groups. The groups are determined by your child's reading level and are differentiated based on students' learning needs. Reading levels are determined by a formal one-on-one assessment with your child's teacher. While the students are meeting with groups in their guided reading groups with their teacher, the rest of the class will be engaged in daily 5 activities. Your child will be engaged in 5 different center activities weekly. In addition, your child will participate in writer's workshop. Your child will be exposed to various types of writing. Although many of the words may not be spelled correctly, your child will be encouraged to write and tell their stories using invented spelling and illustrations. Later, for homework, your child will be asked to read a book at their own reading level. Reading logs may be used, and you'll be able to document your child's books that they read that day. In addition, sight words should be practiced nightly, and math skills will be reviewed as needed. The math series that Cerevel uses is the Envision Math Series. It follows a CPA model, which stands for Concrete, Pictorial, and Abstract. Students are introduced to a concept using manipulatives to create a concrete representation of that concept. Then they draw a representation using pictures. Finally, they substitute mathematical symbols for those pictures. The teacher models the different math concepts through hands-on interactive experiences. The students also watch an educational video for each concept called the Visual Learning Bridge. Various questions are posed to the students throughout the video, which allows for discussion within that lesson. Kindergarten teachers will share more information at orientation and back to school night regarding language arts and mathematics. In kindergarten, your children will be exposed to ST Math, which is a digital math program. ST Math is a program that will be utilized at school and at home. It is a game-based program where students meet Gigi, this cute little penguin that you see on the screen. ST Math helps your child learn math concepts rather than rote math problems. The level of difficulty increases as your student progresses. When your child reaches a challenging problem, they should use their prior knowledge to attempt the problem and then use visual feedback provided to them in order to support an additional attempt. They should never give up. This encourages productive struggle, which helps your child to persevere as they encounter more challenging math problems in the future. Thank you so much, and I would like to now introduce Mrs. Amy Stuber, the principal of Truman School.
Hi, I'm Amy Stuber, and I'm the principal of Truman School. I'm going to speak to you about ways that you can support your child at home. You are your child's most important teacher. Read to your child every day for 20 minutes. This is one of the single most important things that you can do with your child in order to help your child progress in reading. Modeling reading for your child helps them to become better readers. Practice the letters of the alphabet every day. Your child will need to recognize each letter, be able to make the sounds of each letter, and to also write each letter. Your child should practice writing his or her name, first and last name. Your child will learn many sight words in kindergarten. You can hang word cards around your house so that your child sees the words often and can practice them often. Limit the amount of time that they watch TV and play video games. Having conversations with your child will help him or her to understand language. Ask them questions about the books that they are reading. Go to the public library and check out books. Create a reading area in your home. Practice writing skills. You can write letters to your child and then have your child write letters back to you. For math, have your child help you sort items around the house. You could sort them according to color, size, shape. You could use objects around the house. Your laundry, blocks, silverware, toys, and other household items would work. Teach your child to make patterns. You could use the garage sale dots. You could use pom-poms. You could use other objects around the house. Practice counting out loud while you're driving in the car. Children need to learn how to practice counting till 20. You could count the stairs in your house. As you walk up them, count forward, and as you walk down them, count backward. Hang number cards on the stairs. You could count objects in your home. Have your child point to each object as he or she counts. Teach your child the numbers 1 through 10. Go on a shape hunt. Point out circles, triangles, squares, and rectangles to your children while you're taking a walk or in the grocery store. Talk about positional and directional concepts like up and down, over, under, in and out, behind and front. Talk about opposite words like big and little, empty, full, slow, and fast. Your child will also grasp concepts and skills better if he or she has experiences with the real thing. Take your child to the zoo or an aquarium. Visit museums. Visit the local library or a bookstore. Visit geographic locations such as mountains, beaches, forests, or deserts. Play is another way that for your child to learn about the world. Playing both alone and in small groups helps facilitate learning and allows your child to practice skills and concepts. When they're alone, make sure that they use their imagination. You could use sand and water activities, empty boxes in the house. Play-Doh is always a great way for children to learn. Everyday household items or art projects are all ways that your child can learn. When children play with others, they learn by making discoveries, trying new things, solving problems, developing confidence, and taking turns and sharing. This time with your child goes so fast. Have fun. Enjoy this time with them. Thank you very much. Next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Scott Nurnberger, Principal of Eisenhower School.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Nurnberger, Principal at Eisenhower Elementary School, here to talk to you today about your kindergartners' independence and socialization, the skills that they need going into kindergarten, and what we're going to develop with them as the year progresses. This social-emotional piece really coincides with the academic piece in allowing your child to grow, a healthy growth throughout the year, both academically, socially, and emotionally. So what does that look like? What does independence and socialization of a 5 or 6-year-old look like? Well, when we talk about soft skills, we're talking about skills that allow them to communicate, interpersonal skills, things like sharing, taking turns, accepting no, listening and following directions, following rules, stating their needs, transitioning activities, and being flexible. So if you look at these right now, some of them may jump out with you that my child's got that, we're okay. And there are a few that you might say, oh, we might have a little problem here. Work with your kids on these soft skills as they approach September for a successful year. These are going to be skills that we work on, the teacher works on with your child throughout the year as well to help develop. Some of them come naturally, and some take some time to really develop and grow. Okay? So our keys to success when it comes to our socialization, okay? Understanding the difference between right and wrong and understanding that there are consequences for their actions. This piece really starts with respecting one another, respecting their peers and their feelings that they're having. Identifying that other people have feelings also, and my actions impact those. And also respecting the person that may be giving out rules or enforcing rules at this time. The good news is that most children listen better to adults and teachers than they do to their own parents usually. So we should be good with this one. Number 2 is using words to express their needs and feelings and understanding that others have feelings too, as I just touched on. Getting your child to express in words how they're feeling and why they're upset is a critical skill for them to develop as they mature and get older. We don't obviously, as 2 and 3-year-olds, we were transitioning away from the temper tantrums and teaching our children how to articulate how they're feeling and just as important, why they're feeling that way, and starting to talk to the children about what they're internalizing and how to process those feelings, the feelings of being happy and sad and scared, and using those words readily so they can communicate to adults what they're feeling and how to process that. Number 4 is playing alone or with other children without needing constant supervision. Now, when we think about this is really critical in school to working independently. What does that look like at home? Ask yourself, does my child brush their teeth independently? Does my child get dressed independently? What are activities and things that we ask them to do at home? And can they do those independently without constant supervision? Okay, that's where you really want to look at to see, is my child going to be successful in this area? And start to implement more chores and tasks for them to do and foster that independence with them. Okay, having rewards for doing independent activities without needing help. Okay, promoting and encouraging that process. And the last thing is making decisions and taking risks while remaining safe. We talk about productive struggle in school and how that lends to learning. Being able to take those chances and risks and explore in a safe manner. Okay, and really encouraging your children to do so. Okay, those are our keys to success. Now, again, these are going to be things that we work on with your children throughout the year. So if there's a few that you're like, we're not there yet, that's okay. We're going to get there with you. Okay. The other piece is the independence piece. Okay, and we talk about things to be ready for school and being more independent. Can they tie their shoes? Okay. Can they put on and take off their own coat? Okay. Can they go to the bathroom independently? And this is a big one because they need your help in this too, moms and dads, because when you go out and look for those clothes and you go school shopping, okay, you're looking for the nicest thing and you want to make them look good and presentable. You also have to think about, can my child access what they need to access to go to the bathroom with these clothes on? It's a very important question to keep in the back of your head because you need to set themselves up for success, right? 5 and 6-year-olds have 2 conditions. One, they don't have to go to the bathroom, or 2, they've got an emergency and they need to go right away. Planning really isn't a strong point for your kindergartner. And needing to access what they need to access quickly is an important part there. So please keep that in mind when you're picking out your clothes for your child, especially picture day. Picture day is a big one, right? You don't want your child doing the walk of the wooden soldier, the march of the wooden soldier down the hallway to the nurse. So please be careful on that one. Ask yourself, can they zipper their coat? Can they open their own lunch? That's a big one too. Being able to access their food. Can they open that? Can they open that Tupperware container? Can they twist off that thermos? Those are all little things that can impact and have a stressor on your child throughout the day. Those are all things to ask. Can they buckle their seatbelt? They're going to need to buckle their seatbelt by themselves when they get on the school bus in the morning and in the afternoon. Can they do that? That's an important one to ask yourself as well. Blow your nose, cough in your arm, okay? All things that they should start to learn how to do now, and you should work with them over the summer. Now, this doesn't happen all with one person. This happens as a partnership. This growth and development happens when families, teachers, schools, and the child all work together to develop and grow both socially and emotionally. We can't do it alone, and we need your help and you need ours, okay? So we want to be your partner. And in order to do that, what we need from you is we need you to communicate to the teachers and the guidance counselor and the principals how your child is being impacted by the things that go on throughout the day, things that they love and are excited for, and things that may cause them stressors or they're struggling with. By giving us that clear picture of how the events of school impact your lives at home, we can adjust to meet your children's needs more readily. Okay? On the other end, if there's something happening at home that you feel is going to negatively or positively impact your child going to school, those things are important to communicate to your teacher, to the guidance counselor, and to the principal, so we're ready to meet the needs of your child as they come into school. If there was a stressful situation that happened in the morning or the evening before, alerting us so we're ready to deal with your child's needs is a critical piece for success. Keep that line of communication open. In the beginning of the year, your teacher will give you several means in which to communicate with school: email, phone, and other apps. Okay? Keep that line of communication open. It is a partnership, and we can't do it alone. We have to do it together. And now, I'm going to present to you Mr. Bob Preston, principal of Arlith Elementary School.
Hello, I'm Bob Preston. I'm principal of Arlith Elementary School, and I'm here today to talk a little bit about some of the big questions that our kindergarten parents have about transportation, before and after care, food services, and school security. I'll be handling a couple of these, and Mr. Tim Byrne will be following me up and handling a couple of the others. So first of all, I would like to talk about where to find all this information on our school website. So if you go to the Sayreville Public School website, sayrevillek12.net, we have a Parents tab. And if you go on the Parents tab, you'll find all of the incredible resources that will answer many of your questions. So in those resources include food services, our parent portal, our Bomber backpack, which is loaded with information, our district calendars, transportation, and leading edge before and after care. And that is our before and after care service. So if you have any questions on any of these topics, this is a great place to answer some of those questions. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is our before and after care program. It is a third-party company that we use. It's Leading Edge, and they are in each of the buildings. You could contact the website, leadingedgekids.com, or the regional director is Nicole Bauer. Her number is 781-491-4075. And you could see their schedule. It's from 7 o'clock in the morning until approximately 6:30 at night. So again, if you have any questions about before or after care, you could take a look at the website, or you could contact them directly through their contact information. Next is food services. Many questions about food services. The first one is typically, how do I know what's for lunch? So again, if you access the website, you could go to the food services part of the website, and the menus are posted there monthly. You'll see the menus for both lunch and breakfast. We do serve breakfast in the classroom, and you could access it that way. You'll also get it through the email through the Bomber backpack. So it's very important not to unsubscribe from the Bomber backpack, because a whole lot of information comes through the Bomber backpack. So you'll be able to get the menus two ways, either through the website or through the Bomber backpack. How do I pay for lunch is often asked, especially for our new kindergarten families. So there's a couple ways that you could pay. You could put money in an envelope with your child's name on it and their classroom teacher, and it will get to the cafeteria. You could also write a check. Usually it's to the school cafeteria. So for instance, it would be Wilson Cafeteria, Arlith Cafeteria, and so on. Or we have a program called myschoolbucks.com. Again, that information will be on the website, and you could create an account for your child, put money on their account, and when they buy lunch or breakfast, it will be deducted from their account, and you could just add money as needed. A third question that we often get is, what if my child forgets their lunch? So the first thing is not to worry. We will make sure that they eat, and that they have a nutritious lunch. So you could either bring it to school, and we have a drop box outside, so if you forget it and you realize, before you get to work, you could stop at home, drop it off at the school, and make sure that they get it. The other option is we could provide a lunch for them. We could have our cafeteria provide them a lunch, and we'll just bill it to your account. All right, so they will get a nutritious lunch one way or the other. And then third, the fourth question we often get is, how about allergies? So the first thing to remember is to contact the school nurse and make sure that you have a conversation with the nurse about the allergies, and then we'll make sure that the teacher understands what the allergies are also. It will be logged into our computer so that we have that information, and we'll make sure that they have a safe lunch and that they're in a safe environment. We often have nut-free classrooms and nut-free tables in the cafeteria for them to eat at if they have nut allergies. So the first and most important thing is to contact the nurse and make sure that we have that information, and then we'll provide a safe environment for them. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Tim Byrne to discuss safety and security in the schools.
Hi, I'm Timothy Byrne. I'm the principal at Wilson School, and certainly a very warm welcome to you. I know this has been a lot to take in here tonight. You've been listening to some very wonderful presentations here about your child's academic experiences here in school. And you've been listening to those emotional pieces, social emotional pieces as well. And what I'm trying to do here coming toward the conclusion of our presentation is to have you have an opportunity to see how we have been thematically the same in terms of all that we've talked about in regard to the layers of what we do here in the Sayreville Public Schools in terms of your child. So as we are approaching these final two topics, which would be in regard to school safety and transportation, please see that this is a matter of the fact that just like in this pandemic that we're experiencing right now, that we have to take precautions, don't we? We have to live life differently, don't we? When we go out now, it's different than when we used to be able to just jump in the car and just go places. We can't do that anymore. And that very simply is the same in regard to these particular areas. So let me first start off with school safety. One thing I really would encourage you to do over the course of the summer now, before school starts, is to take your child to school. Now, you can't get in, obviously, but you can drive by. You can see what the school looks like. It's very important to acquaint your child with this is where you're going to be going, and to give that acceptance on your part to say this is important. You're going to school. This is part of life. Now, in the process of doing that, you're going to see that all the schools, all 4 elementary schools, are in the throes of having a security vestibule installed. And that's very, very important. It's important, obviously, because as we know as adults, that life has changed, hasn't it? Unfortunately, it's very different than when we went to school because of the fact that we have new protocols that we have to follow. So this is really something that I'm going to ask you to work with your child on in regard to helping this transition to occur so that your child will feel safe and secure, which is very important developmentally for a 5 and 6-year-old to have that sense of security, which obviously they receive from you as their parents. And so we want to ask you to help us to transition them to us so they can do that. Now, obviously, that becomes a little more problematic because all the schools now will have this safety vestibule and a security guard there, a campus monitor, who is designed to assure your safety, the child's safety, and all the children in the school, as well as the staff of the school as well. So please understand that we're not doing things because we feel as though we are just doing them on random, but we are taking proven experiences from the past to be assured that we are having a very safe physical environment for your child and also for you. So in that regard, this next part here with Hall Pass, what is Hall Pass? Hall Pass will be a system which may change by September or in the first part of the year, which is that when you come to present yourself to school, that the campus monitor will ask for ID. So if you don't have ID, you're not going to get anywhere. because we need to make sure that you are who you say you are. Also, in case with other people that would be eligible to come to school, always please make sure that those individuals would have their particular IDs as well. Because again, Campus Monitor is going to be seeing a lot of people. Please don't be upset if you may have gone to school, let's say today, and you come back to school tomorrow, and the Campus Monitor will say, and you are? Because the person is dealing with a lot of people. And so we just want to make sure that over time that those particular protocols will be firmly established, and that you would understand that this is what we're trying to do for the safety and well-being of all. I mentioned here about a drop box. A drop box will mean that unless there's an imperative reason for you to come to school, you're not going to be able to get into the school. Just because you send your child to school does not give you unfettered access to the school. Simply because of the fact that we need to make sure that we are providing for the safety and well-being of all of our children. And this, of course, is what we do. So the purpose of the drop box here is to make sure that if, as was mentioned earlier by Mr. Preston, if a child forgets his or her lunch, is there something, like a form or something you want to just drop off at school, that we have a facility there with our drop box so that you can simply give it maybe to the Campus Monitor or put it in the drop box. Again, with the new arrangements of our safety vestibules, we're not quite sure if that's all going to work. But basically, it's designed to drop it off, as the title suggests, and you may go on your merry way. And the Campus Monitor will be in contact with the school office, who will make sure that that particular item goes to the appropriate location. Student pickup forms. Again, with this whole idea of safety. So again, metaphorically, I just want you to understand that we're providing these different layers of security, different layers of safety. And so student pickup form would be that if for some reason you have to pick up your child early on a particular day, please understand that we're going to ask you electronically to send that form to us beforehand, so that we know that there is a need, and so we can make sure that your child will be safe, obviously, and that you are who you say you are in terms of that. It just makes that whole process go along a whole lot smoother. And of course, as I mentioned, integral part of this, of course, is the security vestibule. I don't have any pictures to give you. I'm sorry. Every particular school has its own architectural features, and so you'll see that done in a different manner in terms of every school. Now, in regard to this matter, in terms of police and schools, we have a memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Cedarville Police Department in terms of what specifically would be their agreement in terms of what they can do in the schools. They're there to assist and to make sure that everybody is safe, obviously. We all know, unfortunately, the pain of what's been happening in our country. And so this protocol allows us to make sure that whether the children are coming in the morning, during the course of the day, when they're at recess, at lunch, that there is an individual there who will be responsible primarily for the safety and security of all here at school. And of course, as I mentioned to you previously, that entails your safety as well. You will, and we'll talk more about this when we have our breakout sessions, which Dr. Shediak will elaborate on at the conclusion of my remarks. But we do have drills. So there are fire drills, there are lockdown drills, there are safety drills, which we are required to perform according to state statute. And of course, we can go into those more in terms of our individual sessions with you. But please be assured that of your child's safety and your safety at all times when you come to school. Now we move on to transportation. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, what's the connection between school safety and transportation? Well, very simply, we need to make sure, again, with this idea, this word picture, if you will, of layers of protection, that this becomes a situation where, again, we fully understand that this is a very emotional experience for you in terms of allowing your child to come to school. Again, what I mentioned just moments ago, it's important for you for you to talk to dialogue with your child about that, so that your child will understand that he or she is coming to school, and that's with your permission, that's your acknowledgement. You can share about your experiences that you had in school to help your child understand this process. And for many of you, that may be that you have to start this process at a bus stop. And obviously, due to the circumstances we have right now with COVID-19, and as was mentioned previously, we're not quite sure what that protocol is going to look like yet. As soon as we do, we will certainly convey that to you. But traditionally, school buses were made up of seats for 54 students. And that's going to look differently, obviously, for September and beyond. And we don't know what the protocol will be even for something like a bus stop. Now, questions are starting to run through your mind, I'm sure, in regard to, like, how do I find this out? Like I mentioned here in terms of these questions, like, what do I do? So when you register for school, you're going to go on, you've done that on OnCourse. There's a transportation tab there, which you're going to access, which will give you all this information. If you have any further questions about that, again, feel free to call the school office. This last comment here, I think that if I could just ask you to ponder that for a minute, and that is, this is a brand new experience for you, for your child. Most of them, of course, have never been in a large vehicle, may have been on a plane, so forth, but this is very different. The children accompanied you. Now they're going by themselves. And so that, again, is something, as has been mentioned, again, thematically throughout tonight's presentation, is that these are things you need to help your child understand and prepare your child for, because that is a very big step in terms of transitioning your child from a bus stop to a bus. Now, in that regard, we have some school safety rules here, school bus safety rules. I'm not going to go through them individually with you. I'm going to ask you to certainly take the time to be able to do that. I'm just going to highlight a few of those things to you. First of all, it's very important that you be on the bus stop on time because of the fact that for everyone's safety. It's very important that you always stay 10 feet outside. We talked about social distancing. It's very important that you stay beyond that 10 feet from the bus because we don't want anything to happen. In other words, we don't want a child, hopefully, will be very excited to come to school, but we don't need children to run up to the bus stop because we just don't know what could interfere with the bus driver's, smooth arrival to the bus stop. And this is really very, very important, please, moms and dads, is that you're going to have someone put the child on the bus in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we obviously in school will place your child back on the bus, but we need to make sure that there's a proper transition at that particular point. That is that when we come to your bus stop, that we know that there is someone that we know through you that can take care of the safety and well-being of your child at that particular point. So I would suggest to you, it can get very confusing the first couple of days of school, and we'll talk more about this at kindergarten orientation. It's going to be very important for us to know and for the bus driver to know who is going to be picking up your child at the bus stop. We need an adult there. We need someone that the bus driver can identify. And there can be more than one person. Please feel free. But to please notify the bus driver and transportation department and, of course, the school so that we can be assured, again, of your safety. Without that person there, your child's going to come back to school. Because, again, remember, layers of protection, we want to make sure that your child is safe. Because that is our primary concern in regard to the well-being of your child, because we can't possibly look at how we're going to teach them the academics that have been previously mentioned, the socialization concepts, because of that basic need of security. So if you studied psychology in school or have heard about this Maslow's hierarchy of skills, it's that needs. It's that whole sense of security, of feeling safe. Again, they receive that from you in regard to being a parent, and we of course want to be assured that they have that same experience with an institution, if you will, with school, in regard to having that whole process be smooth in terms of that transition. And finally, and this is very critical because, again, as I was just alluding to moments ago, this is a new experience for your child. And so getting on a bus with other people, it's not going to be quiet. There isn't going to be a video that you can put on to keep everybody quiet. There isn't going to be music that's going to be on. It's that sense of self here that's going to develop. And it's going to be that whole area of making sure, as Mr. Nuremberger said, please practice with your child to make sure that your child can buckle his or her seatbelt, because we want all your children to be safe. Please make sure that you reinforce with them that they're going to look forward on a bus and not keep constantly turning around, because we want to be assured that your child will be safe. I grant it's a new experience. You're probably going to have more questions in individual sessions, and so that might be a good thing for you to start to develop here as we close out here in regard to the various questions that you might have from the presentations tonight. I really encourage you to write them down, be prepared to talk about them with your child's principal, because that will be very, very beneficial. I've listed for you here the Transportation Department, Director of Transportation, Mrs. Lori Howell, who will be able to assist you. And again, always feel free to call the school office for any questions that you might have. So at this particular juncture in terms of our presentation, I'm going to turn the platform back to Dr. Shidiak, who is going to draw conclusions here in regard to what you've heard tonight, and also to set a real focus for us as we move forward. Thanks very much, everybody.
Okay, so are your heads spinning yet? Are you filled with questions? Hopefully you will have some great questions, because you will have an opportunity to ask questions of the individual principals. But before we get to that, I'm going to talk about the next steps. Now, I'm sure everyone has a lot of questions about what's going to happen in September. Is schooling going to be online? Are we going to have split sessions and so on? What's it going to look like? Honestly, at this point, we don't know. We have a couple of ideas, but we are waiting for guidelines from the governor and from the Department of Education. So at this point, we really can't address any of those questions, and they're very valid questions, very valid concerns. We promise that we will keep you updated throughout the summer as soon as we receive additional information about what's going to happen. At this point, however, we are going to move ahead with the thought of what we have done in the past, and we will make alternate plans as required. Okay? So, next steps. First thing is something that's so important. I know that there are probably a good number of you who have perhaps not finalized your child's registration for kindergarten. It's vital that you do that, and you do that as soon as possible. So if you have not gone through all the steps of the online registration, submitted all the documents, and received confirmation of that, we ask you to please do that as soon as possible. There are probably some of you who may not have even actually begun the registration process. Well, now's the time to do that. Okay? We really need you to go onto our district website at www.sayrevillek12.net. Look for the online registration information for kindergarten, and please, if you have not already done so, begin that process. Okay, if you have any questions about that, you can reach out through email or through the 732-525-5200, our main number, and follow the prompts to get to our registration office. Okay, so that is really the first thing, that if you're not totally finalized, please do finalize your registration. Once your registration is finalized, you will be contacted by your child's school to arrange for a kindergarten screening. Now, this will not apply to the students who were in our preschool program during the past year, because your child's preschool teacher will have completed that paperwork. Okay, so once you're finalized, but we cannot do this until your registration is finalized, you will be contacted about arranging a kindergarten screening where your child will work one-to-one with one of our teachers. Okay, normally in September, we have an orientation. This is an orientation for parents and the children. This orientation is actually held on the very first day of school. So kindergartners do not officially begin school on the same day that the students in grades 1 through 12 do. The very first day we set aside for our kindergarten students and their parents to participate in an orientation. The orientation will be at the individual schools, and your child will get to actually meet their kindergarten teacher. And while your child's meeting with their kindergarten teacher, seeing their classroom, you will be meeting with the principal and some other key people in the school building. So on September 3rd, your child will not be getting on the school bus, or you will not be dropping them off at school. You will instead, at some point during the day, usually it's in the afternoon, you and your child will come to the school for a very special orientation. Details about that will be forthcoming in August. Okay. Next thing is, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your principal. A lot of information was covered here today, so you can certainly reach out to your school principal. In addition to reaching out to your school principal in the traditional way of a phone call or an email, we are also scheduling breakout sessions. So you will receive information with links to online live sessions with the individual school principals. These will take place during the week of June 22nd. Okay? And the principals will be there to answer your questions. However, we do request that if possible, if you can send the questions to the principal ahead of time, if you do think of any, that would really be helpful, because we anticipate a large number of people in these sessions. So getting the questions ahead of time will enable the principal to more efficiently answer the questions. But if you can't get it to them, certainly you will have the opportunity to ask them live during those sessions. Now, a letter or an email will be coming home to you, which will give each principal's email address and the specific information and the links for their individual online meetings. And again, those will take place during the week of June 22nd. So at this time, I want to say thank you so much for your time and attention during this. Hopefully you have garnered some useful information from this. We can't wait to work with you and your children. And again, welcome to the class of 2033. Thank you.